Hey, thanks so much for clicking on this video and welcome to the Haves and the Have-Nots review here on YouTube. If you're a fan of Tyler Perry, you've come to the right place. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also check me out on these social media platforms, and links in the description below will lead you to my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook group, and Facebook page. Once again, thanks for joining in and enjoy the video. All right, have and have not fans, before going any further, my second official giveaway is now over. It ended earlier today at 5 p.m. I will announce the winners or winner because, as I said before, I would pick the top comment and that person would win a $20 Walmart card. And if I do find two other comments that were pretty darn good, I'll give those two people $10 gift cards. So I will go through all the comments and whatnot probably Monday. And let me just put it this way. I'll announce the winners either before or after Tuesday night's episode. So be on the lookout for that. And for this video, again, an idea spurred from the live streams. It's about Broderick and whether or not he's going to sabotage Candace somehow. I mean, keep in mind that I had some good discussions today on YouTube about it. Broderick, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't believe Broderick and Candace have ever been in a scene together. We know that they're aware of each other because, you know, Broderick knows that Candace is always up to a scheme, and it's obvious they're still in the same prostitution ring. But remember that Broderick is really trying to move up by going straight to the top with Catherine Cryer. But I said in the live stream that, you know what if he decides to go after Candace or sabotage her, or, you know, bring her down with the ship in regards to the prostitution ring, because he knows that the prostitution ring is being investigated and he's made Catherine Cryer aware of this. But my question is, you know, one thing I've been thinking about that Candace told Catherine in the preview for the next episode is about how, oh, I'm into blackmail now. So I'm wondering how that's going to come into effect, because Catherine does know that, well, I am aware of this prostitution ring. Are you a part of it? And I thought about it because somebody was like, well, Jeremy, you mentioned like the $8.8 million that Candace took that was Wyatt's inheritance. And I'm like, well, yeah, don't you think it'll be pretty interesting if it comes to Broderick's ear that Candace took that amount of money from the Cryers? Because when you really think about it, that money could be, you know, messing up his situation. That's not to say that Catherine still doesn't have money, which she does. I'm just saying that Broderick will probably get pissed off because that's $8.8 million that he could potentially have had, you know, in the long term with his scheme with Catherine. You know, I don't know if it's going to succeed or not, but that's how I'm just looking at it. Like, imagine, you know, you're trying to con somebody worth $25 million, but then you find out one of your former associates took about 15 million of that amount from their pockets, meaning that that's 15 million you could have possibly had. Don't you think there would have been some ill will towards that? Then on top of that, I still don't think that Rocky has told Broderick what had happened to him with Candace hitting him with the golf club, and he's healed so quickly somehow, which is odd, but whatever. So I mean, him and Rocky, you know, like buddies. So I just figured that, hey man, I'm telling you what happened with this, you know, this hoe, and I'm letting you know that she's messing around in your territory now, harassing the Cryers. So I'm just like, interesting. I mean, with two birds with one stone, you would think that somehow Broderick might try to spin the story, because Jim is already under investigation. Imagine if Jim is put behind bars and out of the picture, meaning that that gives him even more opportunity to, you know, swindle Catherine. And then if you get rid of Candace, that's a potential new threat that's once again thrown out of the picture. So Broderick himself might actually be able to turn himself into one of the best villains on this show when you really think about it. But it depends if the writing is good and if they really make him convincing enough to be that, because I would like to have a villain like that. I mean, villain is such an interesting phrase because of the fact that it's hard to, I mean, on one hand, you can count the amount of quote unquote good people on this show, but to have somebody who is not crazy like a Veronica or an Amanda, but somebody who's completely sane, they're just strategizing pretty much like Candace was back in the early seasons of the show. And it's pretty much him eliminating, and when I say eliminating, not necessarily killing like, you know, what Justin would or Veronica would, pretty much getting rid of all the obstacles in his way to keep his eye on the prize. And that's one thing I do like about Broderick so far. He seems to be a character that knows what he wants, is enacting a plan in order to get it. And so far, he hasn't been sloppy. I am slightly concerned based off what Rocky told him when he first told him about his plan to get with Catherine. It's just like, man, you're crazy. There's no way she's going to be seen around town with you on her arm and stuff like that. And the fact that if you mess with her, that'll mess up this entire operation. And to be honest, you know, he is rolling the dice, but at the same time, it seems like their operation is already beginning to crumble, because I believe Broderick said that some arrests have already been made. So there's no telling what's going to happen. And one thing I did want to bring up briefly, and I was going to do a separate video, but like I said, I'm trying not to make too many videos that aren't really, you know, the subjects aren't heavy enough for a video. I wonder if Pimp Rico is ever going to be showing up in the series, because he's been mentioned about twice, I think. Once in regards to taking over Candace's territory at the hotel, and trying to recruit Gia. But as soon as she mentioned that Candace is the one I'm working for, he backed off. I would imagine that this Rico will be an interesting character, because if he's introduced, he might be able to give more insight into Candace's past. Did they ever, you know, meet up in the past, or, you know, work together? And that might explain why they're at, you know, not on good terms right now. But I feel like Broderick definitely has potential as a antagonist character, but somebody who kind of like Derek, how I like his character, but his past makes him very suspicious. But in the present, he does seem to be a good person. Broderick, on the other hand, just a devious person. But at the same time, he's not crazy, which is something that's very refreshing on the show. So Broderick, you know, great guy to talk with on social media. Be sure to follow Giovanni online. And I apologize because I keep talking like, man, I'm jealous because, you know, Italians like him got that good hair. Apparently he's Cuban. I think on his Instagram or Twitter, he has, like, you know, the flag for the country in his bio. So if I messed it up, I apologize. But either way, you know, it's pretty cool to think that we could have a calm, cool, and collected person who's silently taking down these major characters, and I would love to see that. And then another reason I said that maybe Broderick might work against Candace. Let's say if, you know, between the suicide, well, excuse me, the alleged suicide of Oscar falling out of the window and the prostitution ring, do you think this might actually cause the Artesian Hotel to be closed down or something like that? And then if word gets back, not only that Candace was the one that pushed him out of the window, and then the prostitution ring is something that Candace was a part of, you know, he might be able to bring her down with that. Broderick will be pissed because he would be out of a job. But luckily, he does seem to have the lifeboat that is Catherine Cryer, because she's all like, what do you want to be, promotion? You want to be the general, like the head manager or whatever? So really, Broderick is lucky enough to have attached himself to Catherine when he did, because if he would have followed Rocky's advice, which was to not mess with her at all, he might be screwed. Even though Rocky's advice has been good, because remember, he did tell Erica to get out of the situation at the David's house when he did, because if she had left when she did, then she might not be dead now. Just saying. So Rocky's forewarning to Broderick might actually have been good advice, and it's probably going to blow up in his face. But I will say this much. The Broderick character, I'm very interested to see. I'm just ready to, you know, enjoy the ride, to just see how long this goes on, what happens in the aftermath. And once again, Broderick does have, it's like he's playing like dominoes, and believe it or not, if he's aware, he can actually take down a lot of characters with one finger, like knock down one domino and a bunch of them will fall. And it will be pretty iconic or ironic to have the two players that really started this show, Candace and Jim, both going down for a prostitution ring. Because remember, this all started at the beginning of season 1 when Candace was an escort. Jim called her over to wear a hotel room. Now imagine those two going down together because of a prostitution ring within a hotel. I'm just saying, that would be pretty cool. But to anybody who's listening, again, go follow Giovanni on social media, his Twitter and Instagram. I'll put them in the either the description below, or I'll make a comment and pin it to the top. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think Broderick will turn or work against Candace? Do you feel like after finding out what she did to Rocky, he'll be more inclined to work against her. Do you think these two will ever have a scene together? I'm very interested to see what that will happen. And keep in mind, you know, with so many characters, it's possible that, remember, Rocky did tell RK that he was going to send somebody after Candace, but it hasn't happened yet. So yeah, she's building, it's like she's like, I'm trying to get a gang together. Candace is building more enemies that are working behind the scenes against her than characters to work for her. So keep that in mind, folks. So thanks so much for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you in the next video.